Good morning. This is the Amole Mountain in the Tucson Mountains. You can see the Silver Bell Mountains behind me there, and the old Silver Bell strip vine over there. And I'm going to break here to talk Avalon. Avalon is the legendary isle where the 9 fairy sisters carried King Arthur after his final battle. It's a place for heroes. Avalon is also a futuristic live-action cyberpunk film. Yeah, it's not anime, but it's from director Mamoru Oshii, who's best known for anime such as Angel's Egg, Bat Labor, Ghost in the Shell, and Skycrawlers. Besides, he digitally added a lot of touches to the film, so it's a little animated. Whatever, it's what I'm talking about today. The text that opened the movie tells us that in the future, some young people spend a lot of time in a totally immersive virtual reality game. Kids these days. One such game is Avalon, where players appear to be some sort of guerrillas taking on an obviously superior force in a mid-20th century setting. Most players go to a dingy, unglamorous gaming center to play the game via high-tech chairs and cyber helmets. The bleak hallways, dull lighting, and bare game rooms make this seem almost like a high-tech drug den. Ash is an ace player in the game, actually making good money off it. Exactly how you make money off the game isn't exactly explained. We learn Ash used to be a warrior character in a gaming group called Wizard that broke up after one bad session. It's suggested the reason it broke up is that Ash called a reset, though other explanations will be offered. Since then, Ash has played solo as a warrior, and very successfully. Almost every scene in Avalon is shown in an almost monochrome with a slight sepia or orange tint that applies to both the game world and what we presume is Ash's reality. Only a few objects will get even a little color in the early going. A holographic display board where gamers watch each other play shows some colorful rainbow artifacts, and some meat that Ash prepares in her kitchen looks red and tasty, and a few other food items get some color. Ash is a difficult character to figure, but a strangely compelling one. Ash's so-called real life seems filled with ennui. She lives in a shabby, bare apartment with just a pet basset hound for company. She doesn't do much but feed that dog and smoke. Other players clearly respect her, but when she finishes a mission, she doesn't cheer, pump her fist, or even smile. She ignores the compliments of the game room clerk. She does, however, have something she'd like to settle with her ex-partner, Murphy. When she does meet someone she wants to talk to, she can hold up her end of the conversation. Early on, Oshii offers one of his signature montages, a collage of scenes from Ash's life. In fact, we see her transform from Superman to Clark Kent as she leaves the gaming center. The music from Avalon was composed by frequent Oshii collaborator Kenji Kawai. He provides an operatic aria for the occasion, with lyrics to match the myth of Avalon that form the core of the movie. The music works splendidly with this montage, making the bare gaming chair appear like a kingly throne where Ash rules. It also works splendidly as the backdrop for the conclusion at the Opera Hall. I really like Kawai's score for this movie. The plot gets rolling when Stunner, one of Ash's former partners from the gaming group Wizard, runs into Ash again. Or maybe he arranged the meeting to try to trade some information for a meal, or maybe something else. As a thief character, Stunner can't go solo and make money by himself as Ash has. Stunner tells Ash that the game has left his old Wizard teammate and leader, Murphy, comatose, what they call a non-returner. Murphy also went solo after Wizard split up. He was seeking a hidden level of the game called Special A. To get there, you need to deal with a character called the Ghost. There's only one place and one circumstance that lets you find the Ghost, and if Ash wants to find the Ghost, she's going to have to get into a gaming group again to achieve those conditions. A mysterious character, known only by his game class, Bishop, has been watching Ash in and out of the game. He finally visits Ash in her apartment. He has just what Ash needs to form a group that will let her confront the Ghost and get a chance at entering Special A, or Class Real as he calls it, and perhaps discover what happened to Murphy. Like movies such as Existence, The 13th Floor, or the anime Paprika, Avalon gradually tries to confuse us as to what's real and what's virtual reality. At one point, Ash's pet dog seems to disappear in mid-scene. We actually see the basset hound in an earlier scene, but in this scene, we never actually see the dog. We hear it when Ash walks in, and she acts as if it's just off-screen, but after she fills the food dish, she can't find it. How did it vanish? Was it ever really there? Fans of the director know that the basset hound has become an Oshii's signature since Ghost of the Shell as a reference to his own pet. When Bishop visits Ash, he also notices her books, but he finds all their pages are blank. When we first watch Ash head home from the gaming center, none of the people she passes on the sidewalk or the passengers on the trolley car move. It's as if they're props. Even inside the game, the computer-generated characters seem more animated. And every time we see her on the trolley, the same people are in the same places. The apparent real world seems almost less real than the game world. When we do get the Special A or Class Real, suddenly the sepia monotone gives way to clear, vibrant colors. It's very much like the Wizard of Oz. Not only are there bright colors now, but the people on the streets actually move. Class Real is so different from the other worlds of the movie that even though it looks completely ordinary to us, its unfamiliar vitality disconcerts Ash more than a battlefield tank or gunship. How quickly the movie switches to showing us all those people as only reflections in the glass. Ash takes her name from a streak of white in the hair of her game persona, although she doesn't have it in real life. She also wears glasses in the real world. Perhaps these are reliable tells or not. In Class Real, she has neither the white streak in her hair nor the glasses, mixed signals. The climax takes place in the grounds of an old opera house, appropriately behind an antique artillery piece. Ash argues about reality and whether where she is now is as good as real and whether she'll like it. This discussion provokes a dramatic final confrontation to prove it. It's a heck of an ending with more dramatic flair than any other Oshii film since the first Paddlaver movie. Oh, and it still leaves plenty of room for ambiguity. Throughout the film, the camera has caught glimpses of headless statues. One such, a pair of cherubim, will suddenly flash before us again at the very end, but with the missing head now restored. Perhaps Ash has found a kindred spirit. Avalon was filmed mostly in Poland, presumably for the mid-20th century European scenery that director Oshii wanted for the game. Oshii also used Walsall vicinity as reference for the more recent animated Skycrawlers movie as well. Avalon was then extensively reprocessed digitally to add many animated special effects and graphics for the game world. Oshii has an interesting conception of the game world graphics, with killed characters shattering like panes of glass. Avalon was also filmed with a Polish cast and Polish dialogue. The screenplay is by Oshii's Paddlaver and Ghost in the Shell collaborator, Kazunori Ito, and I wondered if he wrote in Polish. It's been nicely dubbed into Japanese, and in Miramax's US edition into English too. Sort of. Don't listen to that English soundtrack. It adds an insulting voiceover to explain things for Americans too stupid to figure it out from the movie. Worse, the voiceover is by Ash, which completely trashes the uncommunicative and unsocial nature of that character. As long as you're reading subtitles, I suggest the original Polish soundtrack. Unfortunately, Miramax's US DVD release of Avalon also rewrites the dialogue in the damn subtitles. For example, here's a scene between Ash and the game's moderator. Ash asks about the 9 sisters. Listen carefully, and even if you don't understand Polish, the moderator clearly replies with the name Morgan Le Fay, one of the 9 sisters.
Słyszałeś o 9 siostrach?
Morgan Le Fay?
Morgan Le Fay?
Tak.
Of course, those subtitles you saw in the US edition don't mention Morgan Le Fay at all, but make up something else entirely. These subtitles are totally bogus. I've seen Funimation do a lot of reversioning of dialogue, but they usually restrain themselves to their English dub. Miramax has decided to make stuff up in the subtitles. In my opinion, you're much better off with the import version of this DVD, which has English subtitles that actually translate what's being said.
Słyszałeś o 9 siostrach?
Morgan Le Fay?
Morgan Le Fay?
Tak.
That conversation is also important to the movie, comparing the Arthurian legend of Avalon to a similar Norse legend involving Morgan and Odin. It ends with Ash mentioning that Morgan placed the crown of oblivion on Odin's head, making him forget about the world of his homeland. Ironically, she says this even as she's putting on the cyber helmet that will connect her to Avalon. When I first watched Avalon, I was put off by the bleak cinematography and infrequent, unemotional dialogue, but in the years since, I've really come to like it. I give Avalon 4.5 stars. I love its imagery, I love its tricks with reality, and its very inscrutability. I love its music, and I love the climax. Thanks for listening.